Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best time-related show on planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here in Hollywood, California. I am, of course, your host, John Campea. It's an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you guys joining us as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies, movie news, and all sorts of good things. And joining me today, right now, of course, is the one and the only Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett. Robert, how you doing today, sir?
I'm doing good. I learned this morning on Twitter that a Super Broly is more powerful than Thanos, apparently, and that's something I didn't know.
Yeah, well, any child can sit down. I'm making a character called Uko, and Uko can smash galaxies. There, you made a character more powerful than Thanos. Congratulations. All right. Also joining us, of course, is Ashley Whalen. How are you doing, Ashley?
Hey, I'm good. Hope everyone's having a great Tuesday so far.
I'm having a good one so far, actually. I had a good morning, and we're going to have a great day. And speaking of a great day, we got a lot of things we got to get through today.
There's a lot.
We are going to start off with this off the top. Probably the biggest road bump, I guess you could say, that the MCU has faced up till now, because it's been pretty smooth sailing for the MCU.
Indeed.
My friend. And winning cures everything. They just keep winning, so whatever problems there are just get pushed aside because winning cures everything, and they've done a lot of winning. The one big road bump they've hit is, of course, the whole stuff with James Gunn and the old 10-year-old tweets and removing him off of Guardians of the Galaxy and what have you. And that thing just will not go away. The other day, Doctor Strange director Scott Derrickson came out, support still saying, hey, it really sucks that James Gunn was separated from his movie.
Right.
This is an MCU director saying, James Gunn, it's really bad that he was separated from his movie. And there's still been this conversation going on, Rob, about, well, who's going to direct Guardians of the Galaxy 3? Well, you would think that Marvel can just go, hey, and pick anybody. Anybody would want to direct a Marvel film, right? Maybe not. Because after those comments by Derrickson, now another prominent MCU director, Taika Waititi, who did Thor, Ragnarok, everybody's really huge on him right now, What We Do in the Shadows, all that kind of stuff. He's just basically come out and said, I ain't going to do it. And he was asked specifically, will you do a Guardians of the Galaxy 3? And this is what Taika Waititi had to say. He said that, nope, not doing that movie. I'm hanging out with Marvel still, talking about new stuff, but I don't know what that might be yet. I want to do another movie. For me, that's James's film. Going into something like that, which has got his stamp all over it, it would feel like going into someone's house and saying, hey, I'm your new dad. A comment that only could come from Taika Waititi. Hey, I'm your new dad. Rob, I got to ask you this. With current high-profile Marvel directors like Derrickson, now like Taika Waititi, is Marvel really going to be facing a problem? Because there seems to be this camaraderie between all these directors, and these directors all love James Gunn. Are they going to have a problem finding somebody that they want to step in and direct Guardians of the Galaxy 3?
I think they're going to have a problem finding somebody they want. I'm sure I'll direct Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Yeah, exactly.
And I know James Gunn. We've actually worked together. I just think that, they're right. What Taika Waititi said was correct. I mean, James Gunn, it is his franchise. I think anybody who stepped into that role, all you're going to do is be compared and judged against someone else. I don't think there's any way you can win. You could make a good movie. It could possibly be a great movie, but it would never be your movie. You'd be building on what someone else did. And what's funny is that with other sequels, directors come in and take over all the time.
Yeah.
But I think it was the melding of the actual casting compared. It was the casting, the writing, the music choices, bringing in his old friends like Michael Rooker to play Yondu.
Yep.
It's all of that. It really, truly is James Gunn's franchise. I mean, I know Marvel would say it's their franchise.
And they're right. They would be right. It is Marvel's franchise.
But that's a tough call, man.
You know what? I think it even goes beyond that. I don't think it's just about, this really has James Gunn's DNA in it. It's more than that. You brought up Michael Rooker. You got to talk about Dave Bautista.
Yeah.
Who's like, James is the one who gave me a career.
Right.
And he is fiercely loyal to James. You're talking about an entire cast that signed an open letter to Disney saying, bring back James Gunn.
Right.
You want to be the director to step into that? Hey, kids, I'm your director now. When this entire cast has went on public record to say, we want Gunn back. And you got guys who are going to be fiercely loyal to him, like Michael, like Dave Bautista, so on and so forth. I can't help but wonder if this is more than just, this franchise already has one director's DNA. Can't help but wonder if this is also a matter of, you guys screwed over James, and we're tight with James. And no, we're just simply not going to walk in and take James's job because that's James's job. Now, you're right. You nailed it on the head when you said they're going to be able to find someone.
Right.
They will find someone, whether it's you or me. Some schlup can walk in there and direct the movie, yes, but will they be able to get their first choice, which is what Kevin Feige is accustomed to doing? He can just say, I choose you, like a Pokemon. I choose you. And the director would say, yes, awesome. I don't know that they can do that now with Guardians 3.
Also, can you imagine being a director? It's imperative that a director has a good relationship with his cast.
Yes.
Now, there's famous stories when the director and the members of the cast don't get along, but that's never ideal. And you have an ensemble.
Yeah.
That ensemble, sure, Chris Pratt has become a breakout star, and Zoe. Actually, they're all doing really well.
Yeah.
Even Rocket.
That Bradley Cooper kid,
Yeah,
he's
Bradley
doing all
Cooper
right,
kid's doing all right. But you would immediately go into that project with an adversarial relationship with your cast, which is not what any director wants. It's just so difficult. It'd be because I think part of the genius of those movies, you feel the camaraderie between James Gunn and his cast while you watch those films.
Yes.
And if you missed that sort of ineffable quality, you'd really miss something that is inherent. It's necessary to the Guardians of the Galaxy's success.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe they get Ron Howard. Hey, Ron, you saved Solo. Can you come in and save Guardians?
I mean, he's the one guy that everyone loves.
Yep,
so
everybody loves Ron Howard.
No one's going to give Ron Howard a hard time.
No, but you know what? First of all, Scott's comments and now Taika's comments. Some people would say to me, maybe Disney doesn't even do Guardians now. And I would always say, what, are you kidding me? These films have made like over $1.5 billion when you combine. Like, of course they're going to do it. I don't know. Maybe Disney at some point sits back and goes, you know what? This whole situation has been a giant cluster F. Maybe instead of doing another one, which is just going to bring it all back up again, and with all the drama we're going to face trying to find the director we want, and we do have a lot of other properties. I'm not saying Disney's going to abandon Guardians, but I used to say that was an impossibility. I'm starting to wonder if maybe it is a possibility. Maybe Disney just goes at some point, this is more trouble than it's worth right now. Let's just keep using the Guardians in our grander films and not do any more solo stuff.
That's what I was going to say. I could see the Guardians and Thor teaming up for a movie. You could do Thor 4 and you could have Taika Waititi direct it, and then bring the Guardians in there so it's still Taika's film and it's still following up on what he did with Ragnarok, but you still have the Guardians.
Like in Hulk being in Thor Ragnarok.
Right.
You bring that. I mean, that's a possibility as well. Listen, guys, what do you guys think about this? Do you think Disney's going to have a hard time actually getting the director they want on board for this? Do you think maybe Disney's thinking this might be more trouble than it's worth? Jump down to the comment section below and let us know what you think. All right. There's one other little thing of news that came in this morning that I found really interesting. Everything's going on with Netflix and Apple and with Disney's acquisition of Fox and everybody talking about that. Acquisitions are the big thing. Well, one of the financial giants, JP Morgan, put out a statement saying they believe the right move for Apple right now, who's trying to get into the content business, they believe the absolute right move for Apple is to buy Netflix. Now, just how big of a deal this would be, let's put this in context. Disney bought Fox, I might be off by 1 or 2 million, or 1 or 2 billion, for $72 billion. Their projected acquisition cost for Netflix is well more than double of that at $189 billion. Some financial analysts are saying it could be as high as $200 billion. $200 billion.
Sounds like Dr. Evil.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's some Dr. Evil money right there.
To put that into more context, Apple, the richest company in the world, they have about $250 billion in their coffers right now. You're talking about something that would actually almost tap the entire war reserve of Apple for something like this. It's an interesting proposition. Some people are saying, yes, it could happen. Some people aren't. But let me ask you this, Robert. A company like Netflix, which, by the way, another interesting bit of information in all these stories is that Netflix, with all the money they generate, they are currently carry $7 billion of debt. Netflix is currently carrying $7 billion debt. So whatever somebody buys them for is also going to have to incur that $7 billion of debt. But anyway, you hear this story. Do you think this, from a content creation point of view, if that's the business Apple's trying to get into, do you think instead of trying to, create our own space because more and more of them are doing it, that maybe acquiring one of the giants, do you think that would be a good move for Apple or too much?
I think it could be actually a good move because everybody wants to have their own. Every company that owns content wants to monetize their own content. Yeah. All the studios are going to have their own streaming services, but Apple is basically having to start from scratch. They have to build up. They don't have their Game of Thrones.
No. They've signed a few deals. They've signed
some deals, but they don't really have anything yet. You buy Netflix. You've got the king of the. You've just bought yourself the king of the hill. You've got everything they've got in their reserves. You've got all the content they bought from all over the world because Netflix is buying all kinds of foreign projects too, and I think it's a pretty good move if Apple wants to stay in that business. If they did that, they're in. They're all in. They're not getting out. The river has been turned over, and they're in.
I'll tell you what. I think this move would be insane. It would be absolutely insane for one reason. Now, there's a price point at which this would be a good move. $80 billion. Okay, good move. But at nearly $200 billion, you're tapping the vast majority of what resources you have in reserve. And even if
they'll just release another iPhone.
Even if they had trillions, by the way, their last iPhone hasn't sold so hot, so that's been a problem for them. But even if they had trillions of dollars in their bank still, at $200 billion, here's where I get concerned. Number one, that is a huge gamble. Number two, you're talking about a company that's carrying $7 billion in debt. But the biggest problem for me with this deal is if you could 100% guarantee that Netflix is the king of the hill, and they will continue to be the king of the hill for at least 5 foreseeable years, maybe there's something. However, I have some issue with that. We've got a little company called Disney that's getting ready to launch their own streaming service. Are they immediately going to usurp Netflix? No way. But are they going to get a foothold right away with all the Marvel content, all the Star Wars content, all the Pixar content, everything else that they've got going on? And by the way, some of the biggest stuff on Netflix is Marvel's stuff, right? That's going to be disappearing as well at some point. Do I feel so convinced that 5 years from now, Netflix is still the absolute, undisputed, by a mile king of the hill in this space? I ain't convinced of that. I'm not convinced of that. And if I ain't convinced of that, I ain't spending nearly $200 billion on it. So for this price tag, I think it would be lunacy. I think it's a cool fantasy sports league kind of move, but I can't get around that.
It is a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
I mean, but the thing is, if you're a company like Apple, and there are projections. I mean, obviously, they know because imagine every Apple product immediately comes with free Netflix. Like if you buy it just for the first year or something. Right. So they bring you in. But it's really all about feeding that beast. You have to create more and more and more content. And there's only so many content creators that work at a certain caliber available. And as these more of these streaming services and more exclusive deals, whether it's with Hulu, which is Disney, whether it's Warner Brothers, whether it's Universal, NBC wants to start their own streaming services. How many creators? I think it's good for people that want to make movies and television, but I don't know. I mean, I would like to see it just because it'd be so ballsy.
It would be ballsy.
That's what I want to. I love it when people take that risk.
And by the way, the synergy of it that you just proposed, I think that's genius. Like the idea, if you're an Apple, you buy them and say, hey, buy an iMac, get 2 years of Netflix free with Netflix built right into your iMac. You just click the button and away. I mean, there is some synergy stuff there that you could do. Again, I just think.
If they could also get their subscriber rate up, like everybody who's already a Netflix subscriber is a Netflix subscriber, so you keep them. But to get new subscribers, you make those offers and get people sucked in and then they need their Netflix fix.
Right. And I think at the
they're
right
paying it.
price point, it's a good move. At $190 billion, when I don't know what the status of this company is going to be in 3 or 4 years when Disney really gets its foothold in, I don't know. It's a tough one. What would you guys do? Would you guys, if you were Apple right now, you were Tim Cook, you had $250 billion sitting there burning a hole in your pocket, and you get offered Netflix for $200 million. By the way, nothing saying Netflix is even saying they're up for sale. Would you pull the trigger? Would you do it?
Hey, they still have $50 billion in the bank.
There we go.
That was my question, if Netflix was even interested in this deal
Right.
at all. I mean, maybe they just don't want to sell.
Well, to quote...
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money, though.
To quote the old philosopher Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man, everybody's got a price.
Yeah.
For the million, in the case of Tim Cook, the $250 billion man. Everybody's got a price. I mean, I would never sell my John Campea bobblehead doll that company sent me. You were to offer me $10,000 right now, what was not for sale is suddenly for sale. I'll tell you that right now. So I don't know. Everybody's got a price. All right, guys. Let's move on now to our main topics of the day. How do we select our main topics here on the John Campea Show? Well, it's really rather simple. You guys select them by emailing me your topics and questions anytime to john@thejohncampeashow.com. That's john@thejohncampeashow.com. Make sure you put the word topic in the subject line. And as always, guys, keep those emails to 90 words or less. All right, Ashley, what's our first email today?
All right, the first one is from Corey Scott Johnson. Hey, John, longtime subscriber since the AMC Closet Space movie talk.
Way back.
Yeah. I was wondering if you saw this story about Liam Neeson. I can't help but feel hurt by this. Being black, I understand you being angry about the situation that happened to your friend, but choosing to attack any black person on the street you saw is messed up and harkens back top Jim Crow. Just wanted to get your opinion on this story. Thanks, and may the filthy keep winter from coming.
All right, thanks a lot for that, Corey. And yeah, so for those of you who have not seen this, it's a really kind of surprising thing because, you know, you're talking about how everybody likes Ron Howard, right? Everybody likes Liam Neeson. The Liam Neesons?
Yeah.
Everybody loves the Liam Neesons. And right, and so Liam Neeson, in promoting his new film, I can't remember the name of it.
Cold
something.
something.
Cold Crisis.
It
Cold
looks
Crisis.
good.
Cold Case. No, whatever.
Fargo with an Irishman.
By the way, that I thought looked like a throwaway movie, and all of a sudden now it's pulling a 92% of Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
So it's like, what? Anyway.
Cold
and
Pursuit?
Cold Pursuit. Thank you, Ashley.
All right.
I love the Liam Neesons. But in doing press for Cold Pursuit, he was asked a question about, I guess his character, I haven't seen the movie yet, but this character is really driven by anger because of something that wronged him or his family, driven by anger and rage. And he was asked about that, and he got very personal. Now, there are a lot of headlines running around saying, Liam Neeson wanted to attack random black people in the streets and all that kind of stuff. This is a little long, but I think for us to really address this situation, we need to hear in context exactly what he said, okay? So let's take a look. So remember, Liam Neeson's asked about this. He was asked, can you relate with your character and the anger and rage and being driven to do things and being controlled by anger and stuff like that? Well, what he did was he started to tell a story that happened a number of years ago.
40 years ago.
Okay, it was many years ago, where a female friend who was very close to him was raped. All right? Horrible, horrible thing, right? And how he responded to that. Now, this is what he said, okay? And we're going to go through this verbatim because I think it's worth doing to put this all in context. Liam Neeson said the following. She handled the situation of the rape in the most extraordinary way. But my immediate reaction was, did she know who it was? No? What color were they? She said it was a black person. I went up and down the areas with a kosh, that's a crowbar, hoping I'd be approached by somebody. I'm ashamed to say that, and I did it for maybe a week, hoping some, and then he does air quotes, black bastard would come out, and we move on to the next part, come out of a pub and have a go at me about something, so that I could kill him. It was horrible when I think back that I did that. It's awful, but I did learn a lesson from it. When I eventually thought, what the F are you doing? I come from a society, I grew up in Northern Ireland in the Troubles. And I knew a couple of guys that died on hunger strike. I had acquaintances who were very caught up in the Troubles, and I understand that need for revenge. But it just leads to more revenge, to more killing, and Northern Ireland's proof of that. All this stuff that's happening in the world, the violence is proof of that, I think it's important that we hear that entire statement, because if you just read a headline, Liam Neeson was targeting black people for whatever. If you just read that headline, that's shocking.
Shocking.
It's shocking and disturbing and enraging. But when you read the whole story, you're reading about a guy who's saying, look, anger does terrible things to us. And then nobody found this out in an expose. He volunteered this. He said, I was controlled by that kind of rage. My friend gets violated. I find out it's from this type of person that they were violated for. So I was and by the way, he wasn't just looking for anybody random on the street. He says, walking around hoping somebody would come and attack him.
Right.
He wasn't saying he was just going out to target anybody in the street. He said he wanted to kill somebody who might come out and attack him. So that's a big difference. But he's saying, and then I realized this is horrible. I'm letting anger control me. And anger only leads to more anger. And violence only leads to more violence. And killing only leads to more killing. And I come from a society, says Liam Neeson, where I saw that in action and proof. And it's terrible. And you can't let it control you like that. That was the moral of his story. That's what he was saying. And quite frankly, for anybody to suggest that, I've never let anger get the better part of me. I've never either done or thought about doing something really stupid in the midst of feeling really outrageously angry is a lie. It's an absolute lie. I mean, really, Rob, when you think about it, it's like masturbation. We love talking about masturbation here on the show. Everybody does it, but ain't nobody wants to admit to it. And all he did was just admit what everybody felt at some point. But said through that he learned a lesson, and he realized how horrible that was that he was in the midst of that. He never once thought he was justified in doing that. He never once said it was right that he was doing that. And he could have said, if he found out the person that violated his friend was somebody with orange hair, he would have been out hunting for somebody with orange hair. I mean, so I understand the shock value of the headline. And if all there was to it was the headline, I would completely agree. But this is a man telling a story about how he fell into anger and learned from it, realized it was horrible, and then his ultimate moral lesson was, guys, this isn't the way you need to run the world. Violence begets violence, killing begets killing, nothing fixes everything, and that was the moral lesson. I think when people take the time to read the whole story and what it was he was volunteering and saying, I think it changes the narrative here a bit. I mean, look, it's not right, but he himself is telling us it's not right. I don't know. How did you react when you read about this, Robert?
Well, first of all, I did what any sane or rational person, when they're confronted by something they want to get mad about, does, which is to go back and read what was actually said by Liam Neeson. And I feel exactly the same way you do. I think the important lesson to take away from this is that Liam Neeson didn't do anything. Right. He didn't do anything. He was telling a story about how he personally felt and how he was. Look, I had a similar experience to Liam Neeson. I had when I was younger, and that kind of thing. I was gripped with that kind of anger when I wanted to lash out, and I would have killed somebody, and I knew who the person was, and it consumes you. It is a consuming, rage-filled anger that doesn't let go of you, especially if you cared about the person that was violated. I think it's really funny that the point of this story is they're getting mad at Liam Neeson for having. Look, I understand race is a hot button issue. It always will be, especially in the United States. But the point is that Liam Neeson overcame his anger. He overcame it. He stopped, and his own cooler head prevailed. And I think that's the important thing about this story. And I think that's my takeaway, is that he was conveying. And also, if you know anything about Northern Ireland and what happened there,
yeah,
and it's just a different world. And it bothers me that we live in this. It's almost like people want to be enraged. Like, I think this story, once I went back and read his quotes, I'm like, wow, man, he got a grip on himself. He didn't have to go to therapy. He didn't have to get thrown in jail to learn the lesson. He understood it because he thought through his anger and his situation, and he realized what he was doing was wrong. And that's what's important. He didn't hurt anyone. He didn't go out and act on that anger. And we can all learn a lesson from what he had to say.
I read somebody I know wrote out to me and said, the fact that somebody he knew was violated like that doesn't excuse it.
Not at all.
Of course it doesn't. And you know who said that? Liam Neeson.
Right.
He said that doesn't. That's why Liam Neeson says, so wait, what the F am I doing? This is horrible. It's horrible. Like he himself said that. And I think, again, if this was a matter of some reporter undug this old story of him and brought it to light, that's one thing. He volunteered this as a lesson for all of us that, like, hey, like this, look, even me, Liam Neeson, the Liam Neesons, even I am subject to this, and we got to overcome it. And
well, they try and make it into some racial issue. The last time we saw Liam Neeson on screen, he was married to Viola Davis, and they had like tender sex scenes, you know. And I remember I read a tweet.
Please don't describe Liam Neeson's sex scenes to me. I don't need to hear description.
Well, I mean, I'm
tender
just,
or otherwise.
I'm just saying that they had a relationship, an interracial marriage that was shown to be a loving interracial marriage, and it wasn't even about the differences in race. They were just a man and a woman who were married, you know. And I mean, that was some, and I read people complain when Viola Davis was pointing that out. They're like, "Oh, she just doesn't understand." I'm like, we are so crazy. People are so crazy these days.
But I mean, again, I get if you just read the headline, I get that reaction because I read those headlines and I'm like, "Oh, Liam, what did you do? Liam, what did you do?" And then I read it and it's like, "Oh, okay." So
our entire civilization is going to be clickbaited into its own demise.
Here's what let me defend it just for a second. Let me play devil's advocate for a second. If I'm the publisher of Entertainment Weekly or CNN, how do you sum up those 3 pages of comments I just read in one headline? Right? It's a tricky one. It's like a Liam Neeson. You can't make your headline 50 words long, right? But so I get it, but it's just like I always encourage everybody. Don't just read the headline. If you read the headline and it sparks something in you, dig into it and read what's said. And look, there are still going to be some people that are bothered by this, and I get it.
And they should be.
Somebody walking around with Cobra hoping somebody attacks them so he can beat them to death. That's troubling. It is. So I get that. I just think this story, when you read the whole comments, is more than just the headline. And the first person who will tell you that it was unacceptable was the first person to tell us it was unacceptable, which is Liam Neeson himself. So right. I really don't think this should reflect poorly on Liam. If anything, I thought it was very brave for him to share that story.
Me too.
And I think there's something that a lot of us can learn from that and realize from this object lesson he just gave us.
Well, I just think what's really interesting is that our culture, our online culture, would rather take the opposite tact and not learn and enrage people and get them angry based on a headline because they know people aren't going to delve into the story. They know more people are just going to read this and get angry. I mean, look at all the people that already have been hammering Liam Neeson online. There's a lot of intelligent people that have come out and he's getting hammered. And it's like they didn't read it's like they just read the headline themselves and they're quick to sort of lambaste him and destroy him and not really listen to what he had to say. And that's the problem. That's what scares me.
I'm just curious, Ashley, you hear these types of headlines, these things. Like, what was your initial reaction to seeing something like that?
My initial reaction was, oh no, what happened?
Yeah.
But then I read it, and I read many articles about it last night and this morning. And, I have 2 sisters, and God forbid if anything happened to them, I think that I would be probably pretty prejudiced against the person or persons who did it. And, I can imagine that where he was at the time 40 years ago, he probably, was reacting in such a natural way that I feel like many people would react to, but then he owned up and realized that he was wrong and he had shame over it, and then he was just sharing a personal story.
Right.
So, I don't know. I don't think he's a racist at all. I think that he was just actually starting a conversation that needs to be started.
Or kept going.
Yes.
Actually, very specifically needs to be kept going. All right. I'm sure a lot of people are going to have a lot of different opinions on that, and share yours. Get it out. Put it out there, and let's have a conversation about it. Let's keep talking about it. All right. What's next?
Okay, next up is from Maurice D. Hey, John, I just read a report that the new Ted Bundy film, Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil, and Vile, starring Zac Efron, will be released on Netflix. This generally happens when films with films the studios don't think are worth releasing theatrically. Should we be concerned? Thanks, and keep on bringing the filthy.
Well, I mean, look, everybody knows this is a film I have been looking forward to in particular. I've been quite excited with this. I'm a big fan of Zac Efron as an actor. Having watched the Ted Bundy tape stuff on Netflix, which is the same director, by the way, who's directed this film.
Right. I mean,
and everybody's saying he's done well. Everybody's saying that Zac Efron has done very, very well. Unfortunately, the reviews for the film haven't been overwhelming. They haven't been terrible. They've not been terrible, but they haven't been great. Apparently, only 2 traditional distributors made a bid for it. That was STX and Lionsgate. So none of the big guys were interested in the film. None of the big guys thought there was anything they could do with the film. So Netflix came along and they offered $9 million to secure the distribution for it. And apparently that was the best offer. So $9 million it goes to Netflix. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm disappointed. This is something I'd been looking forward to seeing this getting a theatrical release. I wanted to see this in the theaters, even though the reviews have not been stellar and not been all that great. They haven't been terrible either, though, so keep that in mind. But, I mean, it's coming to Netflix, so I guess I'm going to watch it on Netflix.
See, I look at it differently. In the case of this particular film, like you pointed out, the Ted Bundy tapes just dropped,
right,
which is a 4-part documentary that is riveting. And I am sure they're probably getting huthink numbers on that Ted Bundy documentary. And it's by the same director. So they're already in business with Joe. And I think it was just a natural. They're like, we got to have this. I mean, the Ted Bundy documentary is already huge for us. We got to get this movie. It's just synergistic. I mean, they're going to feed off each other. Who isn't going to go watch the movie after they've watched the Ted Bundy tapes? I was sorry when the Ted Bundy tapes ended. Because, man, he truly was wicked and vile.
Yeah.
But when you get to hear him in his own words and then watch this movie, I mean, I can't think of a better promotional tactic than having them together.
And you're right. From a Netflix point of view, we're going back to that scene. There's a synergistic kind of thing there. Like
Absolutely.
The one thing's kind of hot for them right now and there. Parlay that. Make sure you have, when people are watching Bundy tapes, make it the first recommendation. Now watch the movie.
Yeah, I mean, what better promotion than you have this great documentary, and it truly is a great documentary, and then you can watch the movie. You know, it's why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Everybody's going to do it.
I am still a little bit surprised, though, that given that a Paramount didn't try to get in their distribution, that Warner Brothers didn't try to get in I am a little bit surprised that the bigger players decided to take a pass on it. But who knows? Maybe it'll work out for Netflix.
But you know, if it's a low-budget movie, in this day and age for a studio to take on a film, how much were they going to have to spend marketing a movie like that? And who's going to go? Like, in terms of the film-going audience, you're not going to have parents taking their kids, you know? And so I think Netflix is probably the best place for it. And, you know, a studio's... No, if this movie came out in 2,000 theaters, I don't think it would do well. I think this is the greatest thing for this movie.
How well would it have to do, though? Because what it costs, like $20 million to make?
But how much does it cost to market? A $20 million movie costs another $20 million spent in
a
marketing.
distributor would probably have to put $30+ million into it. But I don't know. I just think it was a low enough cost they maybe could have made it back. But you're right. I mean, it is a safer bet.
Would it make $100 million?
It's a safer bet to go to the company that's $7 billion in debt. All right. With that out of the way, let's move on to the next email.
Okay, the next one is from Greg Musella. Hi, John. So Boss Logic says he's hearing whispers that Robert Pattinson may be in contention to be the next Batman. It would be a really out-of-the-box casting for sure. Do you think he could pull off Batman? And considering how negative people were about Affleck's casting, how do you think they'll respond to Pattinson? Thank you.
All right, so for those who don't know, Boss Logic is a true, and there's the image that Boss Logic put together. Boss Logic is a treasure in the film fan community. He is a treasure in the film industry who's not in the studios anywhere. Right. Boss Logic is, I mean, when I think of guys who are just a treasure to the fan community, I think of John Schnepp and I think of Boss Logic. And of course, John Campea. So, no, really, it's just the two. And Boss Logic is one of those. Well, thank you, Rob. I appreciate it. And I think about you. There we go. That's enough for today. Han had it coming. So.
Oh, you had to go there.
So. Boss Logic, he was also now very plugged in. He's got studios inviting him to stuff all the time. Yeah. He has a lot of connections and stuff. So, look, I'm still qualifying this completely in the neighborhood of rumor. But because it's coming from a guy who is as positioned as a Boss Logic is, I think it at least makes it worth talking about. Still completely rumor. That's all we should treat it as. but interesting to talk about, because here's the thing that I find most interesting about this, is that Robert Pattinson, now, I know there's a bunch of film fans out there who aren't really film fans, they're comic book movie fans only.
Right.
And when they think of Robert Pattinson, all they think of is Twilight.
That's it.
And they're like, the Twilight guy, kind of like when they cast Heath Ledger's Joker, the Brokeback Mountain guy. But there's a lot of people there. Robert Pattinson has stayed quite busy making incredible films, showing off that he is a top 10 actor in the business today.
Yeah.
Make no mistake about it, Robert Pattinson is legit.
Just watch Good Time.
Just what any of the things
Lost
he's
City of Z, too.
Yes.
Yeah.
He whenever he's in anything, he delivers something spectacular in his performance. He is quite great. However, the email brings up a great point. Since there's a lot of people out there who have never watched anything that Robert Pattinson is in.
Right.
Their first reaction is going to be the Twilight guy. And Warner Brothers, this kind of came up on my open mic show the other day. Warner Brothers is still kind of reeling a little bit from the backlash they got when they cast Affleck, which, by the way, was a terrific casting. But a lot of people, Ben Affleck, the guy was in Geely, like all that kind of stuff. They're still kind of reeling from that. And I got to admit, two things. One, you know me, I don't really care what actor you put in as long as it's a really great, solid actor, blah, blah, blah. So if they announce Robert Pattinson as an ex-Batman, guess what? I'm going to go, okay, he needs about 14 months with a good Hollywood trainer, pack about 40 pounds on. Fine. Yeah, he needs that if he's going to be Batman. But I'm totally good. From a talent point of view, I'm totally good if you put it there. But the other reality is this. I don't know the Warner Brothers who want to walk into that hornet's nest again. With that experience they had with the Ben Affleck casting, do they really? And with them trying to get everything back on track with the DCU right now, with there being some goodwill now, with Aquaman's success, Shazam looks like it's going to be stellar. We got Wonder Woman 84 coming out. Does Warner Brothers want to deal with another controversy in the hiring of Robert Pattinson, even if he'd be great in the role? I don't know, Robert. What do you think?
Well, first of all, I think online controversy in the film community is such a small thing. We hear it because we're listening to it and it's really loud. But if you're going to complain because an actor was in a franchise that started more than 10 years ago, that, by the way, made a lot of money, that was based on a huge series of novels. And this is also something that only dudes are objecting to. What about all the girls that love Robert Pattinson because of Twilight?
Exactly.
What about them? What about them who've come to love genre cinema because of Twilight and because of those books, and now they're eagerly awaiting a Batman movie that has Robert Pattinson in it? It's only us, our inbred incel selves, man. We're the villains here. We are the bad people. We grew up as nerds with our own, little space that we hate that's gone mainstream. I call it the post-geek singularity. We all live in this mainstream world where all of us, all the film fans across the world, men, women, boys, girls, parents, grandparents, we're getting great stuff. And I think Robert Pattinson, watch Good Time. Watch Cosmopolis, David Cronenberg's film. Robert Pattinson's a great actor. He's also been working in the business now for almost 2 decades.
Yeah, he's been around a while.
He's been putting in his time. Why shouldn't he play Batman? He'd make a hell of a Batman. Bring it on. All you people that are going to get all triggered because of that, you are wrong.
Now, I will say this. That doesn't mean I'm saying that Robert Pattinson is necessarily my first choice to play Batman. Nor am I suggesting he should be anybody's first choice to play Batman. Nor am I saying that if you had like a top 5 and none of them are Pattinson, and you just get upset that it's not one of your top 5 where there was Pattinson or not, cool. That's part of being a fan. That's great. All I'm trying to suggest, and I think what you're echoing as well, is that, hey guys, if by whatever stretch of the imagination, and right now it is pure rumor, and I doubt they're going to do it because I don't think Warner Brothers wants any part of that right now. But if they did announce him as Batman, fine, be upset it's not your first choice. Be upset it's not one of the people you were really hoping it would be. But once you get over that, take a breath and go, well, we got one hell of an actor playing the role. And that can't be anything but good. So I'd be perfectly fine with it if they announced him.
And also, remember, these decisions are not made in a vacuum. He's going to get screen tested. He's going to get, the executives are going to look at them, and trust Matt Reeves. If you like Matt Reeves and the films he makes and his past work, and I do very much, I trust him. Trust the filmmakers. Had they let you down, they got you Heath Ledger as the Joker. They got you Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. I know you were a little iffy on that, but she certainly proved her merits. I don't understand.
Oh, we can debate that too. but I mean, look, they don't always get it. We've had Mary Jane Watson was miscast. I mean, it's happened, but this is a really good actor. So as long as it's a really good actor, take some solace in that and just
Absolutely.
let it play out and see what happens. But anyway, that's just kind of my.
I mean, if you've got, here's my thinking. Here's my thinking. If you don't like Robert Pattinson as Batman, but say the girl you want to talk to or take out does, isn't it better that you like Robert Pattinson? Won't you learn a little bit more if you go that way? I would.
Would you be down for Robert Pattinson?
Yeah, but I've also seen a lot of movies
With him.
other than Twilight with
Right.
him. But yeah, and also I think his look kind of goes along with Batman. Like at first I was like, ooh, and then I thought about it for a second, and I was like, he actually might be a great Batman.
Yeah. De-spiky the hair, de-spiky
I mean,
the
look
hair
at
a
him.
bit,
He kind
and
of looks like
yeah, I could see Bruce Wayne in there.
he could have been.
Look at his
you know,
jawline.
Yeah.
Come on.
Again,
put that
I
jaw-
still
Definitely
think-
looks comic book hero.
Got to pack about 40 pounds on him.
Yeah.
You got to get him into a trainer, pack about 40 pounds on him, blah, blah, blah. Again, not my first choice. There are a lot of there's about 15, 20 actors you could list to me that I go, yep, I'd be perfectly good with them as Batman. I'm just telling you, Robert Pattinson is one of them.
I think he'd bring in a lot of people that might not necessarily see the movie. Like you'll have
Otherwise,
you'll have
that
Batman
grew up with the
fans.
Twilight movies.
Yeah, exactly. And then you'll have all these young kids who watched Twilight wanting to see him in this.
Not so young anymore.
Oh God.
Yeah, it's a little bit of an older film. All right, what's next?
Okay. Darth Skywalker. I was reading that Taika Waititi was talking about directing the new Star Wars show, The Mandalorian, and he was saying that this show is going to feel a lot like the original trilogy and not too much of his own humor. My question is, why get a guy like Taika Waititi if you're not going to let him be Taika Waititi?
All right, yeah, so basically what's happening, so we all know that Taika Waititi is going to be directing at least one, maybe a couple of The Mandalorian episodes. He's already at work on it and all that kind of stuff. And he was asked about, the feel of it. And here's what he specifically said, just so we have it in context here. So Taika Waititi specifically said, Star Wars is very different to Marvel style. They know that the tone of the first films really should be kind of adhered to. That's what the fans like, and you can't disrespect it, I guess. It's a nicer way of saying I can't put in too many jokes. There's a bit definitely my tone in there, the dialogue and stuff like that. So basically what Taika Waititi came out and said, hey guys, number one, this is going to have the tone of the original Star Wars franchise. Number two, I'm not going to just make it all humor and jokes,
Right.
but it's still definitely going to have my DNA. I think that's the absolute right way something like The Mandalorian should go. But going to the question is, if you're going to have a director like Taika Waititi on, why not let him be Taika Waititi? Well, remember, a director's like an actor. A director shouldn't be one note.
Sure.
They shouldn't, like, if all Taika Waititi can do is what we do in the shadows, if that's all he can do, he's going to have a pretty short career. If that's all he can do. So what you want him to be able to do is to come to something that has a specific tone and bring a little bit of his thumbprint to it. That's the idea. I mean, that's what Spielberg does. That's what Scorsese does. I mean, you get these great directors who can make different types of movies, but definitely have their DNA in there. And I think that's what Taika Waititi is saying he's bringing. So I think that's a win-win. Personally, the original Star Wars tone, win, with a little bit of Taika Waititi DNA in there with it, win. So to me, it's just a win-win.
Yeah, I think so too. And to me, what's Taika Waititi is really good at is characters.
Yes.
His characters are so, he knows how to set a scene and tell us about a character with one line of dialogue. And it doesn't just have to be funny. He can apply that into the Star Wars universe. And if he can bring what he brought in Ragnarok or What We Do in the Shadows or Hunt for the Wilder People, we're in for a treat. Because I think that's what we love Star Wars, because the characters. I mean, Han Solo, Luke, Ben, Leia, Chewie. When we met these
Jar Jar?
characters, no. When we met those characters, I mean, they were so right out of the gate. We love these characters, and that's what he's really good at. He's making you, and he makes you love fantastical characters. If you can believe a rock man who's cracking jokes, if you can find the humanity in that rock man immediately, and he brought that humanity. He's perfect for the Star Wars universe.
And by the way, piss off Ghost is one of the funniest lines of any movie of the past 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, it is.
Piss off
indeed.
Ghost. I Love that. Yes, I think this is a win. I think this is a win all the way
Big
around.
win.
All right, let's go on to our final email of the day.
Okay, the final one is from Patreon supporter Gregory C. Patreon. First off, thank you for making an audio version. Only way I can keep up. Curious, what is your take on everyone's outrage over not getting a Star Wars trailer during the Super Bowl? It just got done shooting. Thank you for reading and bring on the filthy.
I don't know what to do with people anymore. We've been over this so many times. Nobody ever has given me a rational explanation about why any trailer is needed more than 6 months out from when a movie's coming out. There is no rational reason. Any trailer you put out now for a movie that is still 10 fucking months away is useless. It's pointless, and it serves no purpose whatsoever. It just doesn't. Well, gosh, John, that movie's coming out in 3 years. Why haven't we had a trailer yet? The movie's not coming out for another 10 months. There is no point. You can put out a trailer now, but a great example of this was brought up a while ago, because remember they put out a really early version of the Dumbo trailer. They put out a real early version of that. And then one of the live viewers on the show brought up, months later, it's like, you know what? I didn't even remember that a Dumbo trailer had come out.
Right.
You're right. Nobody even remembered because it came out. We all talked about it for a couple of days. Ooh, that first Dumbo trailer looked good. And we forgot all about it within about 3 weeks. And how much box office do you think that first trailer they put out nearly a year in advance is going to add to the total of that? Zero. None. Because it's pointless. It's meaningless. There's no purpose in doing it other than a little bit of fan service. And a little bit of fan service can be a good thing. But not at $5 million for a 30-second spot. You don't spend $5 million on a 30-second Super Bowl spot for a movie that's not coming out for 10 months. You don't do that. You don't need it. And besides, we all know when the first trailer is going to drop. It's going to drop in April at Star Wars Celebration Chicago. I mean, I don't know that for a fact, but I mean, see, we all pretty much know that's going to happen, right?
So it can be attached to what movie?
What's coming out in April?
I wonder what's coming out in April. From which studio? I mean, it's so weird to me that people think, like, they don't think, like, oh, how are we going to get the biggest bang for our buck? We show it at Star Wars Celebration, and we attach it to Avengers Endgame.
Right.
But bam!
But it'll be online weeks before Endgame comes
Maybe,
out. So
maybe.
Because Celebration comes out a couple of weeks before Endgame, but still.
It'll be in theaters. It'll just keep playing. I mean, it's this is what people don't understand. It's like, I know I want to see it. I want to see
me
the trailer.
too.
I want to see the trailer, but like you pointed out, they've got a plan, like the Cylons. They have a plan, and their plan is huge. They're going to market this movie, and like somebody pointed out, they don't even have a title yet, or they haven't announced the title. They're going to do that. Like I asked you this morning, and you told me that
I'm guessing.
They'll release, but of course they'll release it Celebration and turn it into an event, like they always do.
Yeah, I just, again though, the big issue here is I still do not understand this whole thing about. It's 11 months till a movie comes out. Where's the trailer? It's like
I'm not going to go unless they give me one.
10 months in advance. I don't get it. By the way, the trailer may be great. The trailer may suck, whatever. But the purpose of trailers is to get people excited about a movie. And what's the point if you're putting out so far ahead of the movie coming out that everybody's forgotten about it by the time you get to when the real marketing should start 5 months out? I still don't understand to this day, and I will never understand why anybody feels that way. About any movie. Be it Avengers or Star Wars. Now you can say, but John, they did it with Star Wars before. I think The Force Awakens had its first trailer come out 1 year in advance. Okay, yeah, they did. I don't think they needed to, but they did, and it was kind of introducing the world. Star Wars is back.
Of course.
Okay, fine. I'm not saying you can't do that. They could, but there's no reason to. There's no compelling reason that says they need to do that. And Marvel doesn't need to do that. DC doesn't need to do that. And Star Wars doesn't need to do that. So, yeah, I don't get it.
I mean, we know the movie's coming out.
It's coming out
for sure. I can guarantee you that movie's coming out.
They'll let everybody know when we get closer. And in this case, it's going to be April because of Celebration. That makes sense. I get that. All right, guys. With that out of the way, let's go on to taking some live questions. We do the show live every day, Monday through Friday, so it's part of it who likes to take some live questions. So, Ashley, what are people asking?
All right. I had to put my coat on. I was chilly. Steve Rogers Shaw. Some people mourn Han, but not us.
That's
Really?
a great little mix with
Really? You got to lead with that?
with the
You gotta
Endgame
lead-
trailer and that. All right, what's next?
Nathan Oswald. What's your favorite Weird Al song?
You know, I was going to go right for You're Not Perfect, But You're Good Enough for Now, or maybe even Eat It, like a real old classic. Then you brought up White and Nerdy. That's a really good one.
That's my fave.
The only thing that I find hard is, do I like Kirk or do I like Picard? I mean, that's the song that legendary lyric comes from.
I like the
Jack is
Anakin guy.
Anakin guy,
So-
Yoda,
Right.
Yoda.
That's right.
Look, we're talking about boss logic. Weird Al Yankovic is a treasure.
Yes,
Weird
he
Al,
is.
he's the only celebrity I've ever been afraid to go up and say hi to. I go to all these premieres and whatever, and I walked up to Chris
That's
Pratt.
the only celebrity you're scared of?
I have
Weird Al?
4 different occasions with Ann. Been at an event where Weird Al was there. Even once coming out of a premiere and then going up an escalator to the after party, Weird Al was standing on the step in front of us, and Ann's like, say hi to him. And I'm like, I can't. I've gone up to Chris Pratt. I've gone up to Harrison Ford. I've gone up to I can't bring myself to go up and talk to Weird Al Yankovic.
You know, being scared of Weird Al Yankovic is so charmingly Canadian.
All right, what's next?
All right. Daniel Fitzpatrick. Do spoilers matter? Got spoiled for a Lego Movie 2.
No. I mean, look, some movies, the spoilers mean more than others. For the most part, I don't care that much about spoilers unless it's a long-running TV series that you've been building up to a finale for 2 or 3 years and you don't want that finale. I get that, but you're not going to Lego Movie to see what happens. You're going to watch the movie. It's not the end of it. It's the journey. It's not the destination. It's the journey of the story. Trust me, you're not going to miss out on anything just because you know how Lego Movie 2 ends. That's not why you weren't going to see the Lego Movie 2 for how it ended anyway. You're going to go see it for the movie. And I don't think that matters in this particular circumstance. All right, what's next?
Binham Gaming. Watch Spidey PS4 on YouTube if you're too busy to finish it.
I actually watched the first half hour of it, and I've gotten through about the first half hour on the game. But yeah, I do. But I am going to finish playing the game. I got my PS4, my bedroom all set up. I'm ready to go. So I am going to finish it. But I have started playing Divinity Original Sin 2, and that's been a little bit of a time black hole for me as well. But I will get around to Spidey 4. All right, what's next?
Daniel Luna. Hi, John, Robin, Ashley. Hope you guys are having a great day. Question. Who is more powerful, Scarlet Witch or the Phoenix?
Ooh, I think it's got to be the Phoenix Force, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think
Because that's
so,
cosmic
too.
level.
Yeah, I think so too. Although Scarlet Witch did warp reality and created the entire the reality where Magneto ran the world and all that. So that's
It really comes down to this. Who's writing that issue?
right.
I mean, I say that all the time when it comes to who's more strong in this It's whoever. It depends on who's writing the issue, because whoever's writing the issue will determine who's stronger.
Yeah, but I think Scarlet Witch could actually change reality around Dark Phoenix. I don't know if it could be or Phoenix.
And
the
if Vin
Force.
Diesel is producing it, Dominic Toretto beats both of them. All
And
right,
you know what? Scarlet Witch could bring Han back from the dead.
he could. That's why we don't want Scarlet Witch around. All right, what's next?
Taiki75. Who would have thought 20 years ago that Thanos would have become a household name while Darkseid would still
Darkseid.
Darkseid.
I know
would
it's spelled
still
seed.
Wait for his movie debut.
Look, honestly, 20 years ago, I would have had a hard time imagining when we'd ever see Darkseid on camera, and a hard time imagining when we'd ever see a Thanos on camera. So we got to Thanos now, but they just planned it out better.
Yeah, but I agree. I mean, in 2008, I never would have believed Iron Man would have come out, much less an Avengers movie. So, again, we live in interesting times, wondrous times, people. Don't get mad.
All right, what's next?
All right, Zach Bartron. If Coran wins for cinematography and direction, will he be the first person to do so?
I have no idea off the top of my head. That's a good Google question. I can't think of one off the top of my head. Can you, Rob?
It would have to be Steven Soderbergh because he shoots all of his own movies now, but I don't know if he's ever done that.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's
I'm
a
not
really
sure.
good question.
It's a good question, though. All right, what's next?
And M. Do you think any of the Avengers are aware of Captain Marvel and go looking for her, or will she come and surprise the Avengers having to explain who she is?
I don't think so. I don't think. I mean, unless Cap says, Fury once told me this, what I thought was a wild tale about this alien creature who. I mean, unless that happens, but no, I think it's the latter. I think she's just going to show up and surprise a lot of people.
Yeah, until Loki opened up a hole in the sky and the Chitauri spilled out, I don't think people were really aware of
Aliens.
I mean, certainly Cap wasn't. And I really think that the Avengers are fairly earthbound until the most alien thing was the Hulk.
All right, what's next?
I love Loki. All right. Orange Hand. I like that the Mandalorian's lead wears that armor, giving fans something familiar through which they can experience new ideas and characters.
I mean, that is a good, but it's a convenience of circumstance because that is what Mandalorians wear.
Right.
It's not like they just decided to have this Mandalorian wear that kind of armor. No, there's a reason they call it the Mandalorian armor. But you're right. It is a different character, yet feels familiar, and that is an advantage. That is definitely an advantage to them, and I think they're going to capitalize on a lot. Or you're seeing a lot of these promotional pictures feature that Mandalorian armor.
Oh, yeah, and even the gun, it goes all the way back to the holiday special with the animated Boba Fett. I mean, that's what I love, and everyone loves Mandalorians, whether they're in the Clone Wars or people just love the Mandalorians.
All right, what's next?
Ben Rayner, I could eat a peach for hours.
Case de Troy! What did he say? Oh, yeah. If I asked you to, wait, let me rephrase. If I let you suck my tongue, would you be grateful? That's from the same line, by the way. Immortal movie, Face Off, Nicolas Cage, John Travolta.
Directed by John Woo.
Fabulous movie. Oh, honey, I could eat a peach for hours. Oh, Nick Cage. That movie is so Nick Cage. He's just so Nick Cage. All right, what's next?
This is a two-parter. Curtis Lopez. Personally, I completely still support Neeson. We're not all saints. We are all deep inside. He thought some really toxic, nasty stuff. He was brave enough to admit his mistakes in a day and age where just saying the wrong thing kills your career.
Yeah, one of the interesting things that I didn't include in the quote was, as he's saying this to this journalist, one of the things he said while telling that story was, I've never told that to anybody. And oh my God, I'm telling it to a journalist.
Right.
God forbid.
Yes.
Yeah, Curtis. I completely agree. And we've already spoken ad nauseum about our thoughts on that. And clearly you kind of had the same thing. So yeah, I actually think what he did was really rather brave to admit that and to come forward with that to illustrate, hey, we all have this anger stuff and we all need to deal with it because it's wrong. But anyway, all right, what's next?
Nathan Oswald, no matter where you are, whether it's a quarter mile away or halfway across the world, you'll always be with me, and you'll always be my brother.
Isn't that the Vin
Fast
Diesel,
and
Fast and
Furious,
Furious?
yeah.
Yeah, oh, the tears. He puts in the little tears emoji on the end there, too. Yeah, I mean, look, I'll tell you what. One of the most impressive things, like Fast 7 was Paul Walker's final one, right?
Yeah.
Was not the best movie in the world. Let's just be clear. But it might be one of the most impressive things I've ever seen in the movie business for them to get halfway through filming this movie, lose one of the leads who has been on that franchise since the beginning, that everybody was very close to, and then having to take a break, reassess how are we going to do this, then get everybody back together again, figuring out a way to pull this off. That ending, in a vacuum, is stupid as hell. But it was not a vacuum.
Right.
That was a movie you cannot end any other movie like that. It was them. It was basically a Deadpool breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah.
And it was so appropriate and beautiful. In a vacuum, corny and stupid as hell, yes. But knowing the circumstances of that movie and how they pulled it together, and then to put that ending in, them driving off in different directions, I still get chills thinking about it. It's a Fast and the Furious movie, for heaven's sakes, and I get emotional chills thinking about seeing. It was so well orchestrated, and so well done, and put together, and it just and like it was the second best thing.
I wish you felt that way about Han.
No, it was the second best thing they did, other than offing Han. That was the second best thing they ever did. All right, what's next?
Ethan's Tech World. Watch Schindler's List. Incredible, but never again.
Now you know what I've been talking about all these years when I say one of the best movies I've seen that I'll never watch again is Schindler's List. And now, Ethan, you know why. And I'm right there with you, friend. I'm right there with you. All right, what's next?
Orange Hand. Tell me I'm not alone in being annoyed when fans of Westworld and other convoluted crap respond to criticism by saying, it's too smart for you.
Okay, so what that is... And it's not just a Westworld thing. I mean, it's a fan of anything, right? It is what I'm always going on about. It is the pathetic, weak thing that we as people do, which is we make excuses for why other people don't think the way we do. If, I liked Avengers and you didn't, then you're just a Marvel hater. Well, maybe somebody just didn't like the movie. If somebody doesn't like something you like, well, you just did. That's one of the worst ones. You just didn't get it. No, I got it, and I just got that it wasn't very good. And you thought it was, whatever. But it is the height of weakness in fandom to, instead of accepting that there's somebody else who doesn't like what you like and saying, hey, cool, you didn't like it, fine. I think it's great and I'll tell you why, but you didn't, that's fine, is we make excuses. You just didn't like it because of this. Or you're just saying that because of that. Stop making excuses. And there's just another example of that, and it does drive me nuts when people do that. And it's not just Westworld. Let's not pick on Westworld. It's fans of Star Wars fans do it. Marvel fans do it. DC fans do it. Mission Impossible fans do it. Sports fans do it. Music fans do it. We all do it. And it's stupid that we do it.
Yeah, I mean, I constantly say to myself, Star Trek Discovery is too stupid for me. But, I don't begrudge anybody liking it.
All right, what's
Same with
next?
the Super Bowl. I'm like,
There you go.
I like football, but didn't like that game. Julius Goodwin, I'm torn. I want Black Panther to win an Oscar because it's a great movie and a statement in these divided times, but I also feel it shouldn't win if it's genuinely not the best picture among other nominees. Thoughts?
Well, I mean, look, I've been trying to say for the last little while, let's defer the debate until after the Oscars. Let's just celebrate that a comic book movie. But you are saying what I have said before, Julius. I celebrate that a great movie, and Black Panther is great. It's great. I do not believe it deserves to be nominated for Best Picture. And the fact that it was not nominated for any other major categories kind of is a testimony to that it's a great movie, does not deserve to be nominated for Best Picture. But for now, who cares? I mean, it got nominated. It's a great comic book movie. First comic book movie in history to be nominated for Best Picture. It is an important movie. And no, I don't believe a movie should be nominated for its importance. It should be nominated for its quality. But it is an important movie. And for now, let's just celebrate it and worry about the rest later.
My buddy Kevin Rubio, who made Troops, Kevin.
He was actually just called me yesterday.
He talks about the same thing. He said, one of the things that if a movie is a cultural moment, and certainly Black Panther is, that also has to figure into the validity or of that film. There have been movies in the past, things like In the Heat of the Night or Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, socially relevant films, and who these movies mean a great deal to a lot of different people, and the fact that they resonate, that's something too.
Yeah,
I mean, they might not be Gandhi, but the fact that it had a cultural impact, that says something, and that means something.
If the movie was poor, it wouldn't have had an impact.
Right.
There are lots of movies about different issues and topics that cover important issues and topics, but nobody talks about them because those movies ended up being bad films. You got to be at least a certain level of quality for that message to become impactful. If you don't bring quality to it, there is no impact. You can have a message, but no impact. And I think Black Panther's a great movie.
Right.
I don't think good enough to be nominated for Best Picture, but I think it's great. And let's just focus on that for now.
And people are going to be watching it for years to come.
Yeah. Yeah, well. All right. What's next?
Eric Saul, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark is finally coming, being produced by Del Toro. The illustrations were nightmare fuel, and now they are freaking real. I'm beyond excited and terrified.
I'll be honest. I don't know how I feel about it. I've seen a couple of things like, okay, creepy designs and monsters. All right. But I'm not saying it's not going to be great. Everybody knows how much I love Del Toro.
Right.
So I just don't know how I feel about it at this point.
Those clips that were on in those really
Super
brief
Bowl,
clips in the Super Bowl, they look great. The designs look great.
The designs look awesome.
Nightmare fuel is it, but it kind of looks like Silent Hill. Silent Hill to me.
A little bit.
Which I like Silent Hill. There's nothing wrong with that, but I hope it's really scary.
By the way, I feel bad that I don't remember this, but is it like an anthology movie where it's like it's a bunch of different short stories?
Yeah, I guess so.
So it's kind of like ABCs of Death a little bit.
I think so. I think that's what they're going for.
Okay, well, how does it work? I don't know. Let's find. Maybe it'll be the best thing ever. We are in a horror resurgence right now.
We certainly are.
If this can be great, and look, maybe it says something of the belief they have in it if they're putting on spots in the Super Bowl.
Right.
So, I don't know. Maybe we should be more excited
the
about it.
stuff looked great. I mean, I wanted to see more.
All right, what's next?
Zach Bartran, Nightmare on Elm Street versus Friday the 13th. Which is the more competent franchise?
They both have all-time great classics, and both went horribly off the rails at times. I'm going to go Friday the 13th. There's just something a little more iconic about the hockey mask than Freddy. Don't get me wrong, I'm not casting shade on Freddy. But I mean, it's Jason, man.
First of all, there's no contest. The Nightmare on Elm Street movies are so much better as far as films go because they've got incredible fantasy sequences, really elaborate dream sequences. There's so much more going on. And with Jason, he literally just kills teenagers. Like sometimes you get a psychic girl in there and maybe he goes to New York. And of course, both of those series, they meet, they fight. But man, the Nightmare on Elm Street movies are so much cooler to watch.
Look, all I'm going to say is that Freddy never went to Manhattan nor to space. Therefore, your argument is invalid. So the answer is Jason. I have no idea, really.
Look, Wes Craven's New Nightmare, that fourth wall breaking, mind bending film, Friday the 13th never came close to having the wit of that movie.
I'm not going to argue with it because to me, it's close. All right, what's next?
Paul Downey, now that the Super Bowl is done, give the Six Nations rugby tournament a chance. After the first week, Italy are last, but they can come back. Go Ireland.
Even though my high school gym teacher tried to get us playing some rugby, rugby is a sport that I've always wanted to understand, and I don't in the least. I have no idea why anybody's doing what they're doing on the field. All I know is that it looks awesome, but I have no idea about it. So I don't think I can watch it until I understand the sport.
Man, I lived in New Zealand and Australia, and they called it the footy. The footy was on. It's bonkers. The fans of like the All Blacks and
I just watching
fans,
the All Blacks do their pregame
the
ceremony.
Haka. Yeah.
Oh my god!
Oh yeah.
See, Jason Momoa was doing that.
Yeah.
Woo. All right, what's next?
Misanek. Will we get a proper trailer for Endgame? So far, only 2 teasers with everybody looking sad. I don't mind not knowing much, but come on.
I have no doubt. Look, I said this after the first trailer dropped. The first trailer, also known as the 2 minutes of people sitting down looking sad, until Hawkeye, in a very innovative way, stood up and looked sad. That was a big game changer there for that. But no, I mean, I like it. And I like the TV spot. Again, I don't think it's going to appeal because nobody's talking about the Endgame T spot except for us and the hardcore movie fans. Like everybody else is talking about the NFL 100 trailer. Everybody's talking about the Game of Thrones Bud Light trailer. Everybody's talking about the Toy Story thing, but they're not talking about the Endgame trailer. I have no doubt. Show me a Marvel movie where at some point they didn't unleash the Game Breaker trailer. They do it. They will absolutely do it with this one. It just hasn't hit yet. I'm just saying be patient. Now, they're not going to give the movie away, but be patient. They are going to unleash a trailer that is going to blow us so far away, we're going to be drooling over ourselves. I absolutely believe that.
It's amazing if only Marvel had a movie coming out before Endgame opens that they could actually put a longer trailer in front of. Oh, wait.
They are.
It's a month away. You're going to get it.
Yeah, it's going to come, and it's going to blow us all away. Of that, I have no doubt. All right, what's next?
Arturo Beltran, Dragon Ball Super, such a good movie. Have you seen it?
I don't care about Dragon Ball.
I just learned what a Broly was today on Twitter. So hey,
I'm not casting any shade on Dragon Ball.
Right.
For anybody who likes it, and just not for me. I don't care about Dragon Ball, so I have no interest.
I'm an anime fan, and I've never ever seen one episode of Dragon Ball.
Oh well, see now here's the thing. I had a buddy of mine who just loved Dragon Ball, and I did watch a bunch of it. If you are an anime fan, I would say this, Rob. You at least owe it to yourself to at least check it out.
I know.
To see if it's
I know.
I checked it out, and it's not for me, but I would say you may love it, so you should give it a shot.
See, I like mobile suits and transforming Veritech fighters like in Robotech and Macross and Legends of the Galactic Heroes.
I'm more into
and
that
Gundam.
stuff too.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Canada rocks. Over under 20%. When Tony finally returns to Earth, he finds that Pepper has been dusted. Gut punch.
I don't think so. Yeah, I have nothing to base that on. I have no information to base that on. I'm thinking, look, every character had a 50-50 shot of being dusted or not. I'm going to guess that Pepper is not one of the dusted, but she very well could be. So, but you know what? You do set the line at 20%. It's a 50-50 shot that she's dusted, and you're setting the line at 20. I got to take the over.
Yeah.
The smart bet is the over then. I'll take the over on 20%. There you go. All right, what's next?
Ethan's Tech World. Could we see Tony's vision from Age of Ultron come true in Endgame? The one Wanda put in his head. Cap says, "You could have saved us."
No, remember, I've had this question asked before, and Rob, honestly, correct me if I'm wrong here, but Tony did not have a vision. He didn't have a vision of the future. He wasn't soothsaying. It's just that she put his fear into his head. That's all he saw was his fear. He wasn't seeing the future. He wasn't having a prophecy. It wasn't something prophetic. It was just a fear. Now, could we see things that look like his fear? Oh, maybe. But just remember, that wasn't Iron Man having a vision of the future.
Totally agree.
Yeah? Okay.
Totally agree.
Yeah, I didn't know if I was off on that. All right. What's next?
Nathan Oswald, is it just me or are ASMR videos the dumbest thing?
Honestly, I don't get why anybody complains about them, but I also don't get why anybody does them. Like, I mean, they did the thing with Zoe Kravitz during the Super Bowl, and it's like, I don't know why you did it, but at the same time, I don't know why anybody's complaining about it. I don't get it. I don't. What am I missing, Rob? What am I missing?
Somebody whispering in your ear.
Yeah, okay, with that. Yeah, we all miss that every day.
My friend showed me one like last year, and I was like, "What is this white witch?" And then I thought it was the weirdest thing. And then I tried. I like went to bed one time, and I was like, "Maybe I'll try it," and it put me to sleep in 1 second. Like so. You know,
maybe there is some benefit to it then. All right, what's next?
Some are very strange. Baby, my first super chat. I'm now part of the 1%.
Well, thank you, Don, and thank you for doing that. I appreciate that.
The
man.
Don too.
The Don, not just a Don. The Don.
All right, Matthew Ware. I hope the new Suicide Squad has all my favorite villains: Kite Man, Calendar Man, Crazy Quill, Condiment King, written as a comedy heist like Ant-Man.
I don't think it's going to be a comedy heist. Look, it's James Gunn. It's going to have humor, but I think he's going to go bonkers. I think he's going to go straight up bonkers. And we talked about the other day that Warner Brothers just basically put out the buffet and say, whatever you want, James, you take it. I think there's a reason he went Suicide Squad. I think he's going to go crazy and bonkers. There's going to be humor. I think it's going to be violent because it is James Gunn. Now he's like, I think they'll let, if James Gunn wants to do rated R, I bet you Warner Brothers is going to let him do rated R.
Yeah.
And he'll go crazy and nuts. He'll bring some of that old trauma genes back out of him and he'll bring Kaufman in and say, hey, Coffee, come on in here. What can we do here to be really crazy?
Maybe the Toxic Avenger will be part of the Suicide
Squad. Little Poultrygeist. Yeah. Remember that movie was sick. That movie was just plain sick. Anyway, okay, what's next?
Household films. Do you think Indiana Jones 5 will happen?
Look, right now there's nothing to say that they won't. It did get bumped 1 year, but it wasn't like it's been delayed. It was, we have moved it because of this, and our schedule is now this, and we are doing this. I would not say it's 100%, but yeah, I do believe it is still happening, and it's going to happen.
Well, I think it'd be cool because it'd be in the 60s. The 1960s, because they did the 50s. It's been in real time. It would be another 10 years. Yep. I think that would be really cool. I would love to see how does Indiana Jones deal with flower power.
And by the way, putting in perspective, by the time this movie comes out, Harrison Ford, I believe, will be 13 years older than Sean Connery was in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Let's put that in context. All right, what's next?
All right. Tom Grokett, total views Super Bowl 103.4 million, World Cup 1.1 billion.
Yeah, but World Cup, are you talking about the one match? Also, the World Cup soccer's a big thing around the world. Yeah. It doesn't really mean much in North America. And yeah, so in North America, the biggest thing is definitely that. But I mean, we're talking in North American terms, of course. All right, what's next?
I felt ashamed. I was in trivia last night, and we had a question about Florida teams. We could get every single one, like, Miami Dolphins, and then we could not do soccer. Like, no one at the table. And so that just goes to show.
And there's a North American league. I know Toronto FC. That's it. I couldn't even tell you what cities have soccer teams.
Seattle Sounders did when I was growing up. Well, Seattle had the Sounders.
I think Seattle still has a team.
Yeah.
I just don't know what they're called. Anyway. Oh, you know what? Is it Whitecaps? Maybe. I can't. Why did I know that? I don't know. All right. What's next?
Griffith, oldie. Bud Light Kingdom has been built up for months, then killed in one fell swoop by Mountain Dragon, mirroring Game of Thrones' shocking and quick deaths.
Look, when first of all, when the mountain showed up, I lost my mind. And then when he got down and actually crushed his head like he did to Oberyn, I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. And then the dragon shows up and the lucky loincloth didn't work. And
I think the real takeaway is that whatever else is going on when the new Game of Thrones starts, nobody cares about anything else except Game of Thrones. They should just do every ad like Gillette razors or something, and then just have Game of Thrones just show up at the end of every ad.
Ask that. What if they did that? What if we have several? What if Dos Equis or some other thing that has. What if like the little lizard for whatever the insurance company is, and then all of a sudden, Jamie Lannister shows up, and like, what if they make that a part of their overall marketing campaign leading up to the final season?
What if the final trailer for Endgame, you see the Avengers facing the King of the North, not the King of the North, the White Walkers, the whole.
It'd be one of the craziest things. It'd be one of the craziest things, and I would love it. All right,
everybody should do that.
What's next?
Nathan Oswald, that iceberg scene in Titanic is tense AF.
Oh, no, it is. I mean, it really is. Going back to those spoilers thing, that we all knew the Titanic sinks at the end of that movie.
Right.
We all knew that, and yet it's still. By the way, whenever something gets super popular, inevitably there's backlash against it. Titanic is a great movie.
It is a great movie.
It is a great movie, and you're right. That iceberg scene is crazy. All right, what's next?
I'm upset. Thoughts on The Spirit? Chances for a sequel?
It sucks. It sucks. Look, there's no pulling punches. There's no getting around. That is a bad movie.
It's not good.
I mean, all film subjective. If you like it, that's great. But
it's not even a good adaptation of Will Eisner's original concept.
It's just
It's not good.
bad movie. Directed by somebody who shouldn't have been directing. Just because you hung out with Robert Rodriguez while they shot Sin City and you got a co-director credit, doesn't mean he could actually direct.
Yeah.
And that was just a bad movie. And I actually thought the trailers were really good.
Yeah, I know.
I thought the trailers were really good.
It
to
looked
that.
really neat,
And
but
then,
no.
All right, what's next?
Alex Perez, as a 90s kid, my first crush was Amy Jo Johnson.
Is that the Ranger?
Yes.
I get that. Man, she was cute. She was really cute. I get that.
Yeah.
I get that. All right, what's next?
Best D14. Disney's Tarzan was the first movie I saw in theaters. That being said, I need a Disney live-action Tarzan directed by James Wan with Phil Collins music.
Well, I mean, they just did a Tarzan movie like 2 years ago,
Yeah.
2.5 years ago with Skarsgård,
Yeah.
Margot Robbie,
Yeah.
and Samuel Jackson. Actually, wasn't that bad.
Right.
I didn't think the movie was all that bad. I thought it was pretty okay, but it didn't do great. It's not enough hunger right now for Tarzan live action. But I do love that animated film. You'll be in my heart. You'll
It's
be
great.
in my heart. All right, what's next?
Patrick Conway, look forward to see how Taika's tone fits Mandalorian.
Me too. But I think there's a lot of open stuff there. Because even if you go back to the original George Lucas Star Wars, he slips in some really great little humor in there. That's not completely alien to Taika Waititi's humor either.
I don't know. Do you think a princess and a guy like me? No. Come on.
Yes, that's Taika Waititi style humor right there. All right, what's next?
XX Your Disease, I haven't been home in years. Echoes.
Ooh, I don't know that one. There's probably something I've seen 1,000 times.
me
And I'm just
too.
not pulling it out. All right, guys, jump in the comment section. Tell them which one that's from. All right, what's next?
Chris Clough, Bros Before Studios, Taika Waititi.
Yep. I mean, I think that's essentially what it is. Like, look, what is really weird about this is that you've got multiple directors now coming out and basically saying, you shouldn't let James go. And now DC's got him.
Right.
And DC's going to kick some ass. He's going to kick ass with this Suicide Squad thing, and we may not even get a Guardians of the Galaxy 3 movie made, and we got nobody to blame but ourselves.
Well, and also, look, it's not like he did something horrible. Like James Gunn was always a agent provocateur. He wrote a novel called The Toy Collector. That's really dark. And then he also worked for Troma. Those movies aren't exactly politically correct. So, James Gunn, I think that they
well, we got to resist the urge to get into that whole thing again.
Yeah,
about
no, I
what,
know. But I think what's happening is that I think any creative person has things that might seem questionable, taken out of context. I mean, we all make bad jokes or do things. And I think anybody who's creative would stand up for James because they realize that
they knew him.
They knew him and what he's all about.
The funny thing is, somebody was asking me, said, John, can you please live stream you guys watching the football game, watching the Super Bowl? That would be fun to see. And I'm like, hell no.
Right.
No. You think all my friends who are coming over want to have every word and joke they say while they've maybe knocked back a couple beers, getting out and streaming on the internet and blah, blah. No. Now, I'll do that for the Oscars, and we are going to do that for the Oscars. But we know we are professionals, and we know that we are sitting down in front of a camera and not knocking back a few. I don't know, Robert might knock back a few, but yeah, maybe that. But I was like, because that shit don't go away. That shit don't go away.
No.
All right, what's next?
Roma Arma 30. I was thinking, remember that little secret about the DCEU that you wouldn't tell us about some months ago? What was it?
Yeah, right. You know what, guys? I'll tell you what it was. I will tell you what it was. And I was shocked. Because one of the things, I found something out that as a fan really pissed me off. And I thought, this is going to come out. And I told everybody, this is going to come out. And I thought, when it comes out, everybody's going to freak out. But it came out and nobody freaked out. Nobody freaked out. And it was the stuff about Nightwing. It was the stuff about the reason Nightwing got shelved was because they were dragging their feet. Matt Reeves and everybody were dragging their feet on Batman. And they're everybody's saying, oh, no, it's not bad. Yeah, it is. It's way behind when they thought they were going to be ready to go. Way behind. To the point that it made them shelve it. The director who directed the Batman Lego movie was awesome. He waited and waited and waited. It's like, I can't wait anymore. You either got to give me the green light to start working on this movie or I got to go because I'm turning down other movies.
Right. And
then he left. And I honestly thought, with all the stuff that was going on, I really thought people get upset about that. But it came out and very few people got upset by that. And I was really surprised by that. But yeah, I found out months before it became public knowledge about that. And I thought, oh my God, like now them dragging their heels is now affecting all these other movies.
Yeah.
And people are going to be, and nobody was pissed. Nobody was pissed. So yeah, that's the thing that I was about. All right, what's next?
James Bonner. Okay, John, ultimate eating challenge. $1 million to consume pizza with pineapple or eggs with ketchup. Double if you eat both. By the way, I've been eating PB and mayo sandwiches for years.
And there you go. I'm not alone. Oh my God, dude, look, I'm easy. Give me $500, I'll eat that pizza. You don't even, but you want to double it to put eggs, ketchup, and pineapple on a pizza and have me eat it? And you want to give me $2 million? Done. You just email me the time and the place, bring a cashier's check, and we're good to go. We are good to go. And PB and J. Not PB and J, PB and M. PB and mayo forever. Actually, I haven't had one of those in like 20 years, so I have no idea how gross those might actually be. All right, what's next? Let's do a couple more.
I think we got to bring it in and just all have a bite at the same time.
You know what? I'm going to do that this week. I'm going to bring in a peanut butter. You know what?
No.
I'm going to bring in the
Yes,
ingredients, and I'm going to make a peanut butter and mayonnaise sandwich and consume it here on camera and enjoy.
I will watch.
And then you're going to try bite.
No.
You got to try bite.
Oh,
all right,
man.
Let's just take a couple more here and we'll wrap it up today.
Give Luigi a ring. Hi, guys. Watched Sexy Beast again recently with
good.
Ray Winston.
So good.
Great Cockney gangster movie. Ben Kingsley kills it. Love the show. Ashley, great addition. Thanks.
And her subtraction's pretty good, too. She's really good at math. Look, Sexy Beast is great.
It's so good.
And it's another one of those films that a lot of people have not watched. Like, everybody who's seen it acknowledges and talks about how great that movie is. And Ben Kingsley is Ben Kingsley. I mean, he does what he does.
I love Sexy Beast and The Limey.
The Lian, yeah.
They make a great double feature.
Limey's quite. By the way, if you want to see a good double feature with Kingsley, watch Sexy Beast and The House of Sand and Fog.
Ooh.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. What's next?
Great book. Nathan Oswald, my Mount Rushmore of horror directors: George Romero, John Carpenter, Wes Craven, James Wan.
I don't know. It might be a little early to put Wan on there. I think it might be a little early. He might end up on there. I think it might be a little early.
Saw, Insidious, Conjuring. You know, but I mean, there's a lot of great horror directors. What about like Val Lewton? I know it's a little old, but there is a lot of cinema history, and I love George Romero and I love John Carpenter. But you got to go Dario Argento, Mario Bava.
Argento, yeah.
You know, there's a lot of James Whale. Put James Whale in there.
All right, two more.
Rock 4042. Do you think it's difficult to write stories for Superman on the big screen or just extremely powerful characters in general like the Hulk or Thor?
There are challenges there because what do you do?
Right.
I mean, really, because you always have to have your heroes run into an obstacle. The obstacle is generally known as the antagonist, whether it can be environment, it can be the circumstance. Quite often it's another character. And like with Hulk, like what do you do with Hulk? I know. Let's give him Hulk dogs. And he's got to fight a Hulk poodle. They really did that in the movies. Then they got the best thing for him was Abomination. The Abomination was a great counter character to the Hulk in that movie, and I still hope someday they bring him back. Because in continuity, in canon, he's still alive, and he's on the raft. That's where they said they've gotten, where they got Blonsky, right? So I think it is tough. And with Superman...
Well, you know, somebody accused me the other day. I guess it was on Twitter. They're like, "It's absurd that you think that you can't. It's hard to do Superman stories. Look at how many Supergirl stories they're doing." But I'm like, yeah, but they always depower Supergirl. Like they always give her antagonists that she could easily destroy, really. And what do you do with Superman? I mean, I think it's a problem with the character all the time, that it's hard. What is your big screen story going to be? Unless you have a powered antagonist for Superman that's equal, like Zod, what's he going to do? You know, unless you go the magic route. It's tough. That's why we don't get Superman movies all the time. It's hard to come up with a great script.
You know, if you want a good example, I'm always talking about this graphic novel, but please do read Injustice Gods Among Us Year 1. It's some of the best writing comic ever, but it's basically, if Superman goes bad, there ain't nothing anybody can do about it.
Right.
I mean, Batman is going to try, but... And the moment anybody questions him, like Shazam, he just kills him. I mean, that's the problem. So then you got, Superman against everything and everybody in Injustice Gods Among Us Year 1. Great, you got a fantastic story. But it's tough. It is difficult because,
it's hard.
And that's why one of the things that I really did like about Superman Returns was his adversary wasn't a physical enemy. It was the struggles of his just even gripping about what it is to be human. And as a character study, that's very interesting. As a comic book movie, not so interesting. But
yeah, I mean, I was talking with Bryan Singer after we did that, and we came up with the idea of this Brainiac story where the Brainiac character turns the world against Superman. And that's something where what if the people that he's there to help turn against him? How does he turn that tide? And that's I thought that would have made an interesting feature, but
then they redeem Superman by having him kill Han. Okay, so last question of the day.
That didn't even make any sense.
I got to let that go at some point. Now I'm stretching. Now I'm stretching way too far. All right, last question of the day.
Roma Arma 30, with all the subtlety Marvel has been showing in their marketing, can you see them going all out in their second and final trailer?
Oh yeah, we kind of mentioned that a little bit earlier. I think that is coming. I think Rob's absolutely correct when he talks about, Captain Marvel is coming, ladies and gentlemen.
In a month.
It ain't just going to be Shazam trailers in front of Captain Marvel.
No.
They're going to go hard. They're going to go hard, and it's going to blow us away.
Yeah,
I cannot wait.
I think it's going to be, if I were to venture a guess, I would say whatever the Endgame trailer is, I think 50% over under, I'll go over. I think it's going to be one of the greatest trailers, if not the greatest MCU trailer of all time, and maybe one of the greatest trailers we'll ever see.
I guarantee you this. It ain't going to be 2 minutes of people sitting down looking sad.
Nope.
There's going to be a little bit of that, and that's good because it juxtaposes against the other things. It sets it up. You got to have balance, but it is going to be a trailer that will blow us away.
It's going to be a jaw dropper.
I can't wait. All right, who was that? Was that Rome? Okay, so for Jack, Rome, Corey, Ike, E, all the way down, don't you worry, guys. I'm going to take all the questions you guys sent in that we didn't have time here for today, and I'm going to make another video today, a companion video addressing all your questions. So just look for that a little bit later today. It will be coming in a video. Yes? Oh, the next one's for Rob. Well, then we can just skip it all together. All right, let's take the last one. Ray is pointing out the last one's for Rob. So what's the last one?
Jack Wallace, Rob, what are some of your favorite DVD Blu-ray collector sets? Justice for Han, who had it coming?
Oh.
There's a good middle ground there.
Well, first of all, I got to go with the Lord of the Rings Blu-ray box set. The extended version. I got to go with Charlie de Lauzirica's great documentaries on the Alien anthology and the Blade Runner 5-disc set that Charlie did. You know what just came out that I think is actually really cool, came out last week, is Waterworld. The Arrow Waterworld has 3 different cuts of the movie, including the Ulysses cut, which is the extended European TV version. It's got a great feature-length documentary by Daniel Griffith and Ballyhoo Films. I love the Hellraiser Scarlet box set, which is really cool. I could go on and on and on about this.
All right, guys, that will do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for coming along, being part of the film fan community with us. It has been an honor being here with you. I want to remind you guys we'll be back again tomorrow, of course, for the next installment of the John Campea Show. And I want to thank the people sitting here with me. First of all, sitting right beside me, the Lord of the Rings disc collection loving Robert Meyer Burnett. Robert, where can people find you and your discs?
You can find me on Twitter at BurnettRM. Find me on Instagram at RMBurnett, or you can find me in my discs because I'm doing an ongoing series about my disc collection.
Nice.
On my YouTube channel, The Burnett Work, or find me on my website, theburnettwork.net. One word.
Sitting over there, the Robert Pattinson loving Ashley Whalen. Ashley, where can people find you and Robert?
You can find me on Twitter, AshAttack1, or Instagram at Ashley Whalen, ASHLEYYWHELAN.
And I want a special thanks to Jonathan in the control room, Ray over yonder, and me sitting right here. You can find me on Twitter and on Instagram simply at John Campea. That'll do it for us, guys. Thanks so much for joining us. My name is John Campea, and until the next time, bye-bye.